Mixed reality games make up a big chunk of MetaQuest 3's best content, turning your home into a boxing gym, a painter's studio, the setting of an alien invasion, or, pretty much anything else. Initially, the 128GB version of the Quest 3 dropped for a whopping $499.99, the price of a new PS5 or Xbox Series X. But until now, there hasn't really been a cost-effective alternative, meaning the older, significantly less powerful and much cheaper MetaQuest 2 has remained the king of Meta's virtual hill for most casual VR users. It's fair to say then that thanks to the newly released MetaQuest 3S coming in hot with the same amount of storage space wrapped neatly in a baseline $299.99 price, mixed reality gaming is finally approachable to everyone who might have been in the market to upgrade from the Quest 2. Now, even with such a steep price difference, there isn't much fall off between the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S for most potential users, aside from a handful of missing features. Most notably, the loss of the Quest 3's pancake lenses in favor of the Quest 2's Fresnel lenses means the 3S offers a smaller sweet spot, narrower field of vision, and lower resolution than the Quest 3. Everything else under the hood is mostly the same, making the Quest 3 an incredible entry-level mixed reality headset, a reasonably priced yet meaningful upgrade from the Quest 2, and a legitimate contender as one of the best VR headsets around. Sitting the Quest 3 and Quest 3S side by side, there aren't a shocking number of differences between the two devices at first glance. The most immediate deviation is where the Quest 3S's 4-megapixel full-color pass-through cameras and tracking sensors are placed on the front of the device. Two clusters of 3 sensors occupy left and right sides of the visor, which from a functional standpoint isn't necessarily a better or worse layout than the 3's vertical camera columns. Much like the Quest 3, 2 additional IR tracking sensors sit on the bottom left and right sides of the visor for improved controller and hand tracking. Other than that, the Quest 3S design is mostly the same inside and out as any Quest 3. The singular USB-C port is accompanied by its power button sitting on the left side of the headset while you're wearing it. The volume buttons fit snugly on the bottom right next to a nifty new action button that simplifies switching between pass-through and immersive modes, reminiscent of the PS VR 2. One notable omission is the lack of an aux-in jack. It's also a little thicker than the Quest 3, measuring 73.9mm from the front of the device to where the facial interface connects with the lenses. At the same time, it is much slimmer than the 93.1mm Quest 2, albeit just a little bit heavier at 1.13 pounds instead of 1.1 pounds. Neither its size nor its weight makes any noticeable difference in comfort compared to the Quest 2 or 3. It comes equipped with the same fabric Y-style strap included in Meta's other recent headsets, which is, okay but not great, since it can be annoying to get it to sit right. And once you do, it tends to come loose with enough physical activity, which is a pretty frequent occurrence. Luckily, the 3S works perfectly with existing Elite-style straps. Battery life isn't quite as big a concern in the Quest 3S as in its predecessors. Its 4,324 milliamp hour internal battery is more than beefy enough to power the Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 platform for more than 2 hours, while displaying VR, AR, and MR content through its 1832 by 1920 20ppd Fresnel lenses, the same as those found on the Quest 2. We did notice a decent improvement over what we're used to on the Quest 3, which has never really been able to sustain itself longer than an hour and a half under heavy use without plugging in an external battery. Apps like Piano Vision and Vermilion also tend to drain the battery faster when in MR mode, and we found that we were able to keep the 3S running for longer than we're used to, typically around 2 full hours, which is not bad. Since the Quest 3S uses the Quest 2's Fresnel lenses, it comes with a few of the same major problems that plagued the Quest 2. First of all, its IPD range of 58 to 68mm is limited compared to the Quest 3's range of 53 to 75mm. That means it has a much smaller sweet spot than the latter. For some, it may be frustratingly difficult to make the 3S sit comfortably without sacrificing clarity, especially those who don't have perfect vision, like me. It's also only capable of adjusting between 3 fixed modes, making it even tougher to fine-tune a balance between comfort and clarity. And in 2024, this just feels outdated. The older lenses provide a comparatively limited display resolution of only 1832 by 1920 with a 96H/90V field of view that's still certainly good enough to make games feel immersive, but newer headsets have moved the needle quite a bit beyond this mark. Given that it lacks the crispness of the Quest 3's pancake lenses, and it has the same issues with optical distortion that the Quest 2 had, visually it feels like a step backward after spending so much time in the Quest 3. Thankfully, the Quest 3S is equipped with the same GPU, CPU, and RAM as the Quest 3, pushing the same raw horsepower to give consistently excellent performance across 90Hz and 120Hz modes in both VR and full color MR. The 3S uses the same ultralight and perfectly balanced controllers as the Quest 3, though that also means they have some of the same issues with tracking that many Quest 3 owners are familiar with. It's especially annoying when controller tracking drops when your hands move too far from the headset's line of sight, and you end up temporarily losing a virtual hand. Ironically, the Quest 3S's lower display resolution compared to the Quest 3, despite sharing the same XR2 Gen 2 platform, gives the Quest 3S a notable bump in performance that's consistent across every game and app we tested, both in standalone mode at 90Hz and when connected wirelessly to a gaming PC using virtual desktop to play VR games like Half-Life Alyx and H3VR at 120Hz. Full color pass-through allows a lot of unique mixed reality experiences that simply aren't possible on the Quest 2 or PlayStation VR 2. For example, being able to visualize your real-life room inside of the Quest 3S lets you play physically active games without worrying about tripping over a pet. Oh, sorry, puppy. Or you could expand your play area to include other areas of your home by scanning physical rooms into the Quest 3S's memory. It's pretty sweet. Boundaries no longer need to be completely free of physical objects. Those can get scanned in, and their geometry may even be outlined and replaced with props or points of interest within certain games. For example, Drop Dead: The Cabin treats your real-life doors and windows as points of entry for the imposing zombie horde to invade your home. Not only are mixed reality games able to convert unconventional living areas into virtual arenas thanks to the Quest 3S's 4 megapixel sensors, but you can also simply switch between the real world and the virtual world at the tap of a button without removing the headset. For instance, to answer your partner calling you to go take out the trash, or when it's time to pour a cup of tea. It's great that when the task at hand is complete, you can simply step back into your play area and continue your game like nothing happened. Sticking to 90Hz in standalone mode ensures a seamless, snappy experience in any VR game you throw at the Quest 3S. We tried Meta Horizon Worlds, Asgard's Wrath 2, Pavlov's Shack, Dungeons of Eternity, Ghosts of Tabor, Power Wash Simulator VR, Walkabout Mini Golf, Blade and Sorcery Nomad, Demio, Waylands 2, and several other games, and the Quest 3S devoured everything we launched at it. Very impressive. Nice job, Quest 3S. The Meta Quest 3S is the perfect entry-level VR headset, finally bridging the price gap between the relatively shiny new Meta Quest 3 and the now 4-year-old Meta Quest 2. While it has a few quirks, namely where its display lenses are concerned, they're just a handful of holdovers from the previous generation. The rest of the device is built like a proper Meta Quest 3, and for the price of $299.99, there is no reason to turn it down if you're looking to jump into VR or upgrade from an older device. As far as performance goes, it can even outshine the Quest 3 in terms of maintaining high frame rates while playing demanding games and apps, all while keeping the battery charged longer. And that is a huge compliment for a VR headset we're now calling entry level. For more VR coverage, be sure to check out our review of the PlayStation VR 2, and for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.